Okay, so we are looking at the practice test here. And we're going to go through every question so that you have the correct answer. And so also, so you can see if I'm looking at for work on the test, this is the type of work that I'm going to be looking for. Now, obviously, these first few questions, there really isn't any work to them. So a deposit of $45. If you're making a deposit, you're adding 45. I would like you to, on the top part of this test, put a plus or a minus to show me that you know that it's really a plus and that it's really a minus. Okay, so number 2, 5 degrees Celsius below 0. So 5 below is going to be the -5. I don't care about units. I'm looking for whether or not you have the positive or negative. And then a loss of 15 yards, -15. Any questions on those 3? Okay. So 4 through 6, this is might be where you're showing some work. Might. The first one, it's the absolute value of a -11. Absolute value turns anything inside of there positive once you have it simplified down. So it's going to become a +11. In this section, you don't have to put the plus on there, but you need to make it obvious if it's a negative. Number 5. Each one of those absolute values just has a single thing in it. So, is that large enough for you? Oh, you got your paper in front of you, so you can look at that. So, since this is an addition with 2 absolute values, some work you might show is 4 plus 6. Showing me that you know that the absolute value of 4 is 4 and the absolute value of a -6 is 6. Because then if you make some kind of addition, at least I know you know the absolute value part. You just don't know how to add 4 and 6 together.
That's very
Okay. So the next one, the absolute value of a -8. So absolute value of a -8 is +8. We have the minus sign between the absolute values. And then we have the absolute value of a -3, which is +3. So 8 minus 3 is 5. So just those little steps there that you think aren't important are important to me. Number 7, graph the set of integers. So what you're doing is you're putting a visible mark on the number line. You can put it right above the number line, or you can put it on the number line. That I don't care, but it has to be in the right spot. So -3, we're going to go to -3. We're going to put a visible point because I don't want to be searching for where your dots are. A +2. Now I could put the dot right there. And a -5. Questions on that? No? Okay, good. Everyone have 100% so far? All right. The temperature in Athens was 30 degrees Fahrenheit. 5 minutes later, it was 20 degrees Fahrenheit. What's the average change in temperature per minute? And that's going to be a key because if you just have 10 as your answer, you're wrong. Think of these as points. The first one being at time 0, the temperature was 20. 5 minutes later, it was 20. So 0, 30, and 520 would be our 2 points. The average change for temperature, we take our Y values and subtract them. And we take our X values and subtract them. And we keep the points together. So 0 and 30 are right up above and below each other. 5 and 20 are right up and below. 30 minus 20 is 10. 10 divided by -5 is a -2. So that tells me that it's going down 2 degrees per minute. That's going to be one that people are going to get wrong on the test. Guaranteed. The upper atmosphere of Neptune can get as cold as -218 degrees Celsius. The inner core of the planet can be as hot as 7,000 degrees. So if I'm thinking about a number line here, and I put -218 on that number line, here's 0, here's 7,000. I'm looking for this distance between there. So we're taking the difference between them. So 7,000 minus a -218. So it's going to become 7,000 plus 218. And we're going to get 7,218. If you did it the other way around and you took the difference and you said -218 minus 7,000, you're going to get a -7,218. But because we're talking about the distance from one point to the other, we know that distance can't be negative. So we have to take the absolute value of it to get that positive 7,218. So if I'm looking for the difference between two things, the difference between two things is always going to be positive. Now, number 11, 12, and 13 are basically, you're just simplifying things down. Because you have the variable on one side of the equation. I'm sorry, 10, 11, 12, and 13. We have the variable on one side, and then we have stuff on the other side of the equation. So we just have to simplify down. We're subtracting a -9. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding the opposite of 9, which is opposite of -9, which is +9. So we get 13 plus 9. 13 plus 9 is
22.
my number in high school, 22. It's a good number. Isaac's saying, no, it's not. What number is a good number?
56.
56. Well, in football, yeah, 56 is a good number. Yeah. What value of n makes -7 times 4 equal to n a true statement? So when you see two numbers together with a multiplication, there isn't a multiplication sign, right? It's implied when you have those two numbers right next to each other. So we're multiplying a negative and a positive. Our answer is going to be negative. 7 times 4 is 28. Number 12, we're adding. We're adding a negative number and a negative number. So the signs are the same. So we just go ahead and add them. 2 and 11 is 13. And because we're adding, we take the sign of those two numbers. -13. 13, we're subtracting. Subtracting is the same as adding the opposite. We're subtracting a -13. The opposite of -13 is +13. So we have -24 plus 13 Opposite signs, so we subtract them. 24 minus 13 is 11. And then the sign from the larger one is negative. Questions on those four?
I did 13.
Okay, what did you do 13? What did you get?
I just didn't add the negative at the end because I didn't know there was one.
Okay, yep, the largest number is that 24, and it is negative. So when we have the opposite signs, we take the sign from the larger number. Anything else? Yes.
So when you have like when you have the same like negative sign on both of them, what do you do?
So like this one, number 12?
Yeah, I'm just.
Okay, so we're adding between there. And so we add the numbers, 2 and 11, we get the 13. The sign on those two is negative, so our answer is negative 13. Anything else? All right, let's move on to page 2. All right. So these ones are just like 10 through 13, other than it doesn't have a variable, but it still wants you to just simplify them down. The minus and the minus right next to each other. I could go through the whole thing of subtraction is the same as adding the opposite, or I can just put that minus or that plus sign down. So I have negative 11 plus 3. That might be a step that you want to write down, or if you put the plus sign there, that I would take that as work shown. They're opposite signs, so I subtract them. 11 minus 3 is 8, but the sign from the larger is negative. 15, a negative number plus a negative number. Signs are the same. So I add them together and I get 37. And the sign on those is negative, so it's a negative 37. Number 16. What operation am I doing in number 16? Then multiplication. So with multiplication, I'm adding up my number of negative signs and seeing if it's an odd number or an even number. In this case, it's a 1 negative sign, so that's an odd answer. So I know my answer itself is going to be negative. I'm going to put that down. And then I'm going to worry about what 8 times 11 is. 8 times 11 is 88. So the final answer, negative 88. 17, we have division. 40 divided by negative 8. 1 negative sign, so our answer is going to be negative. 40 divided by 8 is 5. 18, once again, I would show my work by doing this and putting the plus sign down. 4 plus 2 is 6. Number 19 is one that I would write out, and it's called expanding it out. I'm taking a negative 3 times a negative 3. That squared there means I'm taking that number that's in the parentheses times itself. So negative 3 times a negative 3. A negative times a negative is a positive. And I can put that down. I don't have to put the plus sign down. And what's 3 times 3?
9.
And I will tell you that people will get this one wrong. They will put down negative 6 for an answer. Because when they see that to the second power, they just take 2 times 3 and get 6, and they have a negative sign, so they put that down. Don't do that. Show some work, write it out so that you can see what you're multiplying. Number 20, two negatives being divided is a positive. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And negative 7 times 5, one negative sign, so it's negative. 7 times 5 is 35. And then the last one in this section, negative 6 times a negative 4, two negatives multiplied together to give you a positive. 6 times 4, 24. Number 23. Trent saved up $500 for summer vacation. He spends $25 a week for 8 weeks. How much money does he have left from his savings? Well, me being Mrs. Reed would write out an equation that looks like this. 500 minus 25 times 8. You students, being you students, would say 25 times 8 is 200. 500 minus 200 is 300. There's no work to be shown there, Mrs. Reed. I just did it in my head. Well, yeah, so did I. But I also showed what I was thinking in my head. And then the last section. The last section here, you should be showing me some stuff. You should be showing me what you're substituting in. So when you go 15 minus a minus y, we're not doing anything with the 15 right now. We're subtracting. There's a minus sign in there, and then we're replacing the y. The y is 6. So it's 15 minus a minus 6. Now I put the 6 in parentheses just to show that that's what I'm substituting for the y. Everything else was in the problem already. So then my next step would just show that it's 15 plus 6 for 21 for an answer. Number 25. 20 divided by x, and x is a negative 4, so I'm going to put that in parentheses. 20 divided by a negative 4, positive divided by a negative is negative. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Okay, number 26. 7 plus z, which is negative 3. Positive 7, negative 3, opposite signs, subtract them. 7 minus 3 is 4. The sign from the larger is positive, so it's positive 4. 27, negative 2 times 3 is where's my work, Mrs. Reed? 3, what am I replacing z with? A negative 3. It's all multiplication here. So I have a negative and another negative. I got 2 negatives, it's even. So the final answer is going to be positive. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Positive 18. 28, I'm putting negative 4 in there for x. I'm putting 6 in there for y. And I'm dividing it by 12 because they gave me that in the problem. One negative sign, my answer is going to be negative. 4 times 6 is 24. 24 divided by 12 is 2. And you could write that down, negative 24 divided by 12. I'm most looking for you substituting those in and writing that down. 29, -4 plus 6. Opposite signs, 6 minus 4 is 2. The sign from the larger is positive, so it's positive 2. 30, -4 times 6. Multiplying a negative and a positive, our answer is going to be negative. 4 times 6 is 24. And then the last one, -4 minus a -3. A -4 minus a -3 is a -4 plus 3. Opposite signs, subtract them. 4 minus 3 is 1. The sign from the larger is negative, so it's -1. Questions on those? Okay. Now, you just saw me do this without a calculator because all of the multiplication and all the addition were relatively easy numbers to do. And a question the other day, are we allowed to use calculators? And I said,
Yes.
yes, you are. I'm not going to take that away from you. But I want you to think on your own first and then verify with a calculator. That's a good way to double check your work and make sure you have the right answer. Yes,
I'm just curious, can you do negative numbers on here?
yes.
Yeah.
Right next to the 0, there's a negative sign that's in parentheses.
Oh,
That's the negative sign.
okay, I was wrong.
Jim. 17 is a -5. Matthew, any questions?
Wait, mine doesn't say negative, mine says reset.
Okay,
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, this, okay, thank you.
okay. Yeah, we're in a Google
So
Meet.
am I
right now.
gonna
Go
am I
ahead.
gonna take my test on a am I gonna take my test on a Google form or?
Yeah, yours, I will set yours up for a Google form.
Okay, thank you.
And then I'll just let your mom know that we're having the test tomorrow and that she
Okay.
needs to monitor you.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, Matthew, that's it, unless you have other questions.
No.